The Utah Jazz now have won 19 of 21, get the victory at home over Dallas. We saw at the end of the game, the biggest plays were made by Rudy Gobert on the defensive end. Saw O'Neal knock down the big three to make sure they sealed the deal in Utah. Hey, Utah might actually be a legit contender. We saw the role that they got on when Mike Conley went out. They adjust their starting lineup. They put the Aussie in the starting lineup, who's kind of served as the facilitator. But I guess the question is, Earl, can Utah be considered a true contender in the Western Conference?
It's interesting when you talk about the West. Everyone talks about the Lakers and the Clippers and the Rockets. It's the favorite, trio to talk about. But as a former Utah Jazz member, you're excited to see that because that's everything Coach Sloan built over time. You're excited to see the fan base jumping. You're excited to see them winning games and moving up and positioning themselves to mess up the playoffs Western Conference. I'm not saying they can win the West, but they can knock out a team that's not playing the correct way any given time because that home court advantage is for real.
Home court advantage indeed. As we take a look at the up-to-date standings right now, the Utah Jazz now sitting comfortably. Well, I'm going to say comfortably. Clippers are a half game back, but the Jazz are right there in position, right where they want to be in that second seed. Wes, what are your thoughts? I mean, can they truly be a true contender in the West?
Well, they have played great over the last 21 games where they're 19-2, and that was mostly against a weak schedule. Now, upcoming, they got Dallas tonight, which they got the win. They got Houston twice. They got Dallas again. They got Miami. The next 9 games going into the All-Star break, most of those games are against really good teams.
So basically what you're saying, the test is about to start.
The test is about to start, but this is the best home team in the West. Now, it's close with all these teams, but that's important because if Utah can get number 2 in the Western Conference, that home court is, you played there, right? It is one of the best, if not the best in the NBA. And that team, nobody has an answer for Rudy Gobert. The only answer for Rudy Gobert is to try to play him off the court with perimeter play and shooting, and Rudy's proven that he can do both. So this team has done a fantastic job, and we're going to find out in these next 9 games.
Indeed, we will. Their 18th home victory comes today against the Dallas Mavericks. You just spoke about Rudy Gobert, who had a huge game, including 5 blocks. Of course, he got to talk after the game.
The second time this season have won 8 straight games with their win over the Charlotte Hornets, who they trailed for the most part, Sam, trailed at the end of the first quarter, trailed at the half, tied it up at the end of the third quarter. Then Giannis, 11 points in the first half, 13 points in the fourth quarter, really showed why he's the reigning MVP.
Well, again, this is what Milwaukee Bucks do. Look, they had a tougher time with this Charlotte team today. But at the end of the day, the Milwaukee Bucks is a much better basketball team. They put the defense on them. They clamped down. Giannis did what he does in the fourth quarter, scoring 13 points. And another ho-hum win for this Milwaukee Bucks team.
Yeah, Chris, I think you asked a good question back in the green room as we're watching the game. Do you take this team serious? Because Sam hit it in the pregame
as
show.
Championship contenders.
Hey, there you go. That's where I was going. Is that you have regular season play, championship play, MVP type play. Then you have playoff MVP and team play. So to answer your question, do you believe in Wesley Matthews? Do you believe in Eric Bledsoe? Can Chris Middleton get back to where he was playing last year, where it was a no-brainer he was an all-star, where some people maybe not. That's a question. And then you look at their bench. Can George Hill, can Ilyasova, and, of course, the sharpshooter Kyle Korver. Can those guys play the kind of basketball they're showing us now when the bright lights come on, when you get to that semifinal round, you get to that Eastern Conference final where you're saying you lost to a team last year that won the whole thing? That's the kind of confidence and that's the kind of style of play. Can you keep it up going into the playoffs? That remains to be seen.
And when we talk about the MVP conversation or just looking at Giannis in the second half, 19-9. In the first half, my question to you, Sam, was, they're doing a good job at guarding Giannis. He has 3 fouls, seems to be out of his game. But again, this team seems like they're motivated by trying to make a championship run.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have we talked about this earlier. Look at the disappointment they had. When you up 2-0, and with a chance to go up 3-0, and the team that comes back and sweeps you, not only sweeps you, but go on and win the NBA championship against the Golden State Warriors on their floor, you have to, in your mind, be thinking, if we only take care of business in this series, we got these rings right now. We're looking at being the defending champions. So that right there is fueling this team right now. Look, they understand when you look at names other than Giannis, they just have a very good basketball team. But this is the thing. Giannis makes all those guys that much better. So if Chris Middleton's just a good player, he's an all-star caliber player when he plays beside Giannis. So everybody on that team that plays with him when he's on the floor, they're a much better basketball player because he garners so much attention.
40-6 on the season. It's time to continue the greatness conversation in the sense that look at the teams that they're compared to now. These are the two teams in NBA history that won 70 or more games, and the Bucks right on
Compare them
pace.
to the 95-96 Bulls, not the Warriors.
Yeah, I'm going to say it again. The only thing different, the Bucks from the Warriors and the Bulls, there's no swagger. There's no extra sexy appeal because of what the Warriors and the Bulls done. So that's why the Sam's point where Giannis is carrying the team and you look on this roster and you're saying, wow, this is a solid basketball team, and Bud has them playing great team basketball. So that's accepted for what it is.
Did we ever talk about that Golden State team that won 73 games? Never. No one talks about it. Why? They didn't get the chip, baby.
They didn't get the chip.
We talk about the Bulls team that won 72 because they won. They finished it off. If the Milwaukee Bucks, it don't matter how many games they win, if they don't finish it off with a championship, considering where they went last year, this is going to be a huge disappointment. They got the best record in the NBA. Right. They got the reigning MVP and probably going to be MVP again this year. Everything is out there for them. They got one of the best shooting bigs in three-point shoot. They got the defense. They got the guards. They have everything it takes to win a championship. They just hadn't done it.
So if you're saying historically, it doesn't matter if they have 70 wins or anything like that, but having that number one
Who's talking
seed,
about it?
But having that us.
Well, my point is, who talks about Golden State with the record 7 wins?
That's Pat because they
don't
lost.
mean anything.
So, but having that number one seed in the postseason, home court advantage, no matter who you face, how important is that? I mean, I know you made deep runs with the Orlando Magic.
It's extremely important, and that's why, to Sam's point, you let that slip away last year. Now you have to get it back again, be the number one seed, learn from what happened last year, and pay attention to detail. Because the little things that help Toronto get that edge, get their confidence back, and obviously Kawhi's 4 bounces and it goes in. You hope that 4 bounces back in your building next time and you close it out.
Not say it's guaranteed because you have home court advantage,
Right.
you're going to win.
Yeah,
But think about something. Who wouldn't love having a Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, go to the championship
At home.
At home, not on the road.
At home.
Makes a huge. I lost 2 Game 7s on the road when I played in the NBA. 2 Game 7s. In my heart, I know for a fact, if we had those games at home, I might be sitting up here with a ring or 2 right now.
Yeah.
Certainly the conversation has shifted for Giannis as opposed to, will he be an MVP? Check that off the list. Can he win a championship and lead his team there? That's the goal for this team that's now 40-6 on the season. Well, it was a sluggish first 3 quarters in his debut for Zion Williamson, but that fourth quarter, explosive. 4 for 4 from three-point range, showed us a glimpse of why he was the number 1 overall pick in last June's draft. As he prepares for his second game tonight against Denver, let's listen to Zion.
Lonzo have. He had that lob pass to you where he finished. Just what is it like playing with a guy who has the vision that he has?
It's great playing with a guy like that because, I can make cuts off the ball. Sometimes to break the play, and I know that he's going to see it and he's going to try to find me or he's going to make the right read. So I think it definitely opens up the game for me a lot with a player like him.
Have they told you anything about tonight in terms of how many bursts you're going to have or what the schedule's going to be like tonight?
Nah, they haven't went over with me yet, but I feel like it's going to be pretty similar, if anything.
Sam, what does it feel like getting that first game out of the way for you?
It felt great. It went by super fast for me because I'd be in the game and next second getting subbed out. But it was a great experience, and I love the fans for showing that much support.
After looking at the film with the coaches, what was kind of their main focus for you, they wanted to see you improve tonight?
Just keep getting my feel back for the game and just find myself. Don't try to fit in, just try to be myself.
How long do you think that process actually takes where you actually feel like your old self?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I feel like this is the NBA. It's different. I was just in college last year, so it may take 5 games, it may take less. I think it's just a matter of how fast my confidence rises.
How's your knee feeling?
It's feeling fine.
I think one of the things JJ said yesterday was, I told you right before the game, you don't have to make the Hall of Fame in just this one game. Drew and JJ been helpful throughout this process?
They've been very helpful throughout this process. When JJ came and told me that, it definitely eased the tension a bit because, you know, you can just feel the energy and what people are expecting. So that's why I went out there and was just trying to make the right play.
You basically didn't play any small ball five when you were at Duke, and they kind of did that immediately in your first game. How different is that for you, kind of playing that different role, and what kind of ways do you think you can take advantage of bigs when you're in that spot?
I think it definitely creates a mismatch when the bigs are guarding me, but it's different because I have to learn how to guard the bigs off screen and roll a little bit better, or when to switch with a guard or when not to switch. It's a lot that goes into it that I wasn't really expecting, so I think it's a lot of room for improvement.
So have you went back and watched that 3-minute stretch, and if so, like what did you think when you just watching it again?
Honestly, I tried not to, but on every social media, it was there, so I did go and watch it. But I mean, it was crazy. Finally got to see myself in an NBA uniform. That was the craziest part for me.
I think your career high in three-pointers made at Duke was 3. Do you remember the last time that you did make 4 threes in a game?
Probably high school. I usually try to attack the basket, but I was just feeling it that day.
How many friends and family reached out to you after the game?
Too many, to be honest. I couldn't even give you a number.
What was the biggest difference for you from first quarter to fourth quarter? Was there a moment where you felt, all right, I'm settled in, I'm comfortable?
I think it's like he asked before, getting back to myself. The first 3 quarters, I was just kind of trying not to make a mistake, just kind of blend in. But then I think something clicked in my mind where it was just like, all right, I got to make a game out of this. So I just went out there and tried.
Was there any specific play or moment you remember, or was it just?
I think it was the rebound and then outlet pass to Etwan. I think that really got me going in the fourth.
Do you think teams will give you a little bit less